we have all this talk about how important the microbiome is, and that's in your colon. You don't have a microbiome because you don't have a colon. And so, well, you need fiber to feed your microbiome. I was like, no, you don't. Uh,
Yeah, I've thought about that. Do you think maybe it partially relocates? Or, I mean, I guess we have a biome everywhere, and it's obviously
mhm.
different from the biome we have in the colon.
Yeah.
But do you think, because I've also thought about this. I was depressed,
Hmm.
and I've suffered with depression before in my life, but this was really worse, way, way worse. This was after I had my colon removed. And so you think about this gut-brain axis, and it's like
Yeah.
often the problem in the gut is why you have a problem in the brain. But I've now had this problem removed, and I'm still depressed.
Mm.
So it's interesting. You
Well,
think, well, have I lost part of my biome? Is it, well, most of my biome, is it partially relocated in the terminal part of the ileum? I've thought about this stuff. It's strange,
mhm.
but either way, I was depressed eating a plant-based diet post-surgery, and I
Mhm.
had to cut that stuff out to be happy, healthy, you know, virile, energetic, everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it is interesting. I've sort of posed that question to a couple people, and they were quite interested in it, saying, yeah, that's something we need to look into. They were thinking, yeah, maybe something gets into the small intestine. Realistically, I mean, there is a sphincter, between the cecum and the terminal ileum, right? So um, realistically, it's not supposed to be going back into the small intestine. Things from the large intestine not supposed to go back in. I'm sure there's a bit of crossover. I'm sure there's probably a bit of bacteria in there, but it's not. But when you get a significant amount of bacteria in your small intestine, that's SIBO, right? A small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And so, that's typically not what you want, and would typically have quite severe and deleterious symptoms. So, yeah, so it's interesting. And then, like, yeah, you're saying that, the gut-brain axis, with the microbiome, like, well, you have to have these certain bacteria, and that's going to do this, and that's going to affect you this way, and some large percentage of your serotonin is actually made in your gut, and then that's sent up to your brain. But you clearly got serotonin because you're not depressed and miserable
Yeah.
and functioning. So it's a very interesting question, um, and it either well it poses a very interesting question, for the relative nature of a microbiome. How important actually is it? What exactly is its role? Because if you remove it entirely, are we seeing too much of a difference? I haven't been able to find any studies on that. I've actually looked through. I haven't found too much on that. There are some differences. People that get their colons removed. I looked at the different mental health issues and things like that, and I found a couple things where it was like a very slight difference in mood and depression scores and things like that. But you have someone who just had their colon removed, they're not going to be as happy as everybody if you didn't have it
That's what I
removed.
would say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a very slight difference. It wasn't like a massive difference either. So, and then what about schizophrenia and OCD and all these other sorts of things that does serotonin and dopamine and all these sorts of things have a role to play in. So, and we say a lot of this comes from your gut as well. So it's interesting, and I think that's probably really the way you want to look at least an important part of investigating the microbiome is getting a lot of people like yourselves that don't have a microbiome anymore and seeing, well, how different are they from other people, and say, like, oh, okay, well, overall fairly the same. Or you get a whole bunch of people with stomas that are now on a carnivore diet, and you're like, actually, getting your colon taken out seems to improve people, get their depression goes
There's another
away.
thing that's quite interesting about this as well. You think about, say, like fibrous materials, obviously they ferment in the colon, right? And
Mm.
then you've got mushrooms which like contain chitin instead, right?
Hmm.
Now they're like super gas promoting. But either way, I've eaten an Indian takeaway with this bag,
Mm.
mushrooms, onions,
How's
right?
that?
I wake up in the middle of the night and it's like a balloon stuck to my stomach. So isn't that interesting that it's also still fermented and created all
Yeah.
this gas
Mm.
without a colon?
Yeah, right. Well,
You're like, what
yeah.
is going on there?
Yeah, so yeah, there may well be some bacteria in the small intestine that, before it gets to,
Yeah.
SIBO levels of
I mean, this thing
bacteria.
was like blown up. There was probably 80% air and then just like
Mm.
20% output. And I would struggle to open it. It was so packed out, like blown up so tight, you can't even open it to empty. So you're having to like spray the top of the bag
Mm.
to pull it off with like an anti-adhesive spray. just to allow some air to come out so you can empty. And then, of course, I would just change the bag. But it's like you're in this pickle where you don't even know how do I get out of this situation? I've got a bag blown up like a balloon. There's no room at all
Yeah.
to do anything. But I've got to get this thing off and change it, you know. And that was just from mushrooms and onions in one meal the night before. And
Mm.
I would wake up every day like that after a meal like that, and it would just be like a balloon.
Mm.
So it shows you. Who wants that?
Yeah, no, no, thank you. Yeah. Hey guys, just want to take a second to thank our sponsor, Carnivore Bar. I don't promote many products because honestly, all you need to be healthy is to just eat meat. For those times that you're out hiking, road tripping, or stuck at work and you want a nutritious snack that is just meat, fat, and salt if you want it, the Carnivore Bar is a great option. So I like this product not because it's just pure meat, but also because I want the carnivore market to thrive as well. And the more we support meat-only products, the more meat-only products there will be available in the mainstream. So if this sounds like something you'd like to get behind, check it out using my discount code Anthony to get 10% off, which also applies to subscriptions, giving you 25% off total. All right, thanks guys. One of the things I was thinking about as well, I've been really wrestling with this idea of autoimmunity in general because it doesn't make sense to me. When I was taking immunology, it was very clear, and even said this in the immunology textbook. It was a postgraduate, graduate level immunology course, and it was very clear, like your body actually can't, it is designed not to attack itself when your immune cells are maturing in your thymus mainly. They're tested against every single antigen that you in your body. That's every single molecule that your body can possibly make. And if these immune cells react even slightly or make antibodies or have the ability to make antibodies even that attach even slightly to your own molecules, they're killed. They're just killed. And so in the textbook, it even says, okay, autoimmunity, this has to be a breakdown of that maturation process so that you actually can attack your body, but we have no idea why or how. And we don't understand why that would be. But, that makes sense. If you're going with the idea that it is your body attacking your own body, that would have to happen. But they actually haven't said, no, we see this is what's happening. They're saying, well, logically, that has to be what's happening because your body's attacking itself, and this is the only way your body would be able to attack itself. But we don't know why or how or what the hell's going on. But the thing is that I don't think that is what's happening, because when your body does attack, if you have an infection or if you have a foreign body or something like that, your body mounts an immune response, and it is full court press, right? If you have an abscess or you have a pneumonia or you have something like that, you're not going to have flares of your immune system attacking that pneumonia or infection, because when it's flaring, okay, that's attacking that infection, and then it goes like, oh yeah, I'm just going to take the weekend off. And then that infection is going to kill you. I mean, when people have immunodeficiencies, like serious immune deficiencies, a cold will kill them, and so you can't let an infection just run rampant, And if your body is treating your colon like it's an infection, like it's a pathogen, a bacterial infection, you can't be fighting that infection for years.
Yeah.
And years and years and years. It's going to be just full core. And it's not going to be just ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs. It's just going to be like, this has to go, this has to die, this is over. But it doesn't, and it doesn't do that for any autoimmune issues. There are some that are overly aggressive, but even they, do have ebbs and flows. They don't just completely, you have multiple sclerosis, even if you have like primary progressive multiple sclerosis, it doesn't just go on like an encephalitis and just melt your brain, which is what it would do if it thought your brain was an abscess, right? So that's not happening. So that's not a breakdown of that maturation process, and you're making cells that are now killing yourself and thinking your body is an infection. So that's not what's happening. I think of it more as like celiac. Celiac is considered an autoimmune disease, but it's gluten mediated, right? So if you don't eat gluten, you don't get the autoimmune disease. And it's like, well, that doesn't really make sense. If it's an autoimmune disease, it should just be attacking your body. It shouldn't matter what else is happening. But what happens with gluten? Gluten is a lectin, which is a plant toxin, and lectins are highly associated with autoimmunity generally. And also plants come with glyphosate, which is highly associated with autoimmunity generally. But gluten specifically binds to your enterocytes and damages them. and it's cause leaky gut, and that can cause other things to get into your body, which is a problem. But just on the celiac side of things, when these gluten molecules attack and attach to your intestinal cells, they cause damage, and your body does exactly what it's supposed to do, which is try to defend against that damage. So it makes antibodies towards that. But this thing is stuck to your enterocytes, so now it's getting attacked, but it's stuck to your cells. And so
Mm.
now your cells are getting hit in the crossfire. And so it's like, and so they're getting damaged. It's just like civilian casualties in war. It's casualties of war. So, but and you can look at this on biopsy, it's just horribly flattened villi and microvilli, causes a lot of damage and issues with malabsorption, things like that. But then if you take the gluten away, problem goes away. And within 4 to 6 weeks, those intestinal cells have completely regenerated and is completely normal, even though celiac antibodies can stay up for over 3 years after your last exposure to gluten. So what's going on there? That's obviously not an autoimmune disease because you have the antibodies there. They're not autoantibodies. They're not attacking your body. It's only when gluten comes in, attacks your body, and they attack the gluten. So I think that's what's going on with the rest of them as well. And that fits that pattern of these ebbs and flows and these ups and these downs
Yeah.
when you're getting this crap in your body and that's causing problems. And that's certainly Michaela Peterson's experience. If she just eats the wrong thing, bam, she's got a flare up of her rheumatoid arthritis. And that's what I mean. I see this reactive, like you can check this on lab tests with my Hashimoto's patients. They'll be going through just eating, beef, lamb, and water, doing great. Their antibodies are just slowly coming down. Same thing with celiac. It can take, years for those antibodies to come all the way down to a very low level or non-detectable level. And all of a sudden, they go to Italy and go on vacation for 2 weeks. And, wow, I'm just gonna enjoy myself. They come back and I'm, feeling wretched. You check their antibodies and they slammed up, and then they're slowly coming down again. And that's exactly what happens. So it much more closely fits that sort of pattern where you're getting something in your body and it's attacking you, it's damaging you, and then your body's responding to that attack. And that's what I think is going on with autoimmunity instead. I wonder what you think about all that.
Yeah, no, I actually agree. Although I do also think at the same time, well, I guess maybe you've debunked that.
Hey everyone, really happy to announce a new sponsor for the show and for everybody down in Australia, Stockman Steaks, who are delivering high quality grass-fed and finished pasture-raised beef and other meats, flash frozen and vacuum sealed to your door, something that I've been enjoying a lot of myself recently as well. They also have a great range of specialty items such as high-fat keto mince and carnivore beef and organs mince with liver, kidneys, and beef heart as well. So use code Chaffee today for a free order of beef mince or another specialty gift along with your order at stockmansteaks.com.au, and I'll see you over there. Thanks, guys.
I actually used to put like gluten intolerance, like celiac,
Mhm.
IBS, IBD, all of it. I was just like, it's the same disease.
Mm.
It's the same, just different levels of destruction from different angles based on an individual that's
Mm.
a complete unique being. I just thought it was like autoimmunity is underpinned by intestinal permeability.
Mhm.
Seal the gut, and then your autoimmunity goes away.
Yeah.
And so again, like the same things, the lectins, gluten being one of them, fight hemagglutinin, and fiber. I understand isn't a lectin, but that's not going to help because that's not
Right.
breaking down. What else? Casein from dairy,
Mhm.
alcohol, seed oils, glyphosate. That would be the list that I can think of. Medications, certain medications. Yeah, that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. I mean, regardless of what it is specifically, whether we really know 100%, when you cut that stuff out, you get better,
Mhm.
And I don't really want to do many experiments. I accidentally had seed oils once on a ski holiday and I didn't feel right for a couple of days. That was one steak, one time. And I
Mhm.
didn't feel right. I had this burning, tingling, heat, like warm sensation that all of a sudden I could feel something in my digestive tract. Where on a clean carnivore diet, I don't feel anything in my digestive tract. I eat, I'm satiated, I get on with my life, I forget about it. But if I deviate, if I a little trace of anything, it's like I know there's a problem with that thing. I can feel it. So yeah, for me, it's just like eat red meat,
Mhm.
restrict plants and dairy massively, if not 100%, seal the gut, get out of trouble. It's up to you whether you want to do some personal experiments. I wouldn't touch whole grains. I wouldn't touch seed oils, you know? Alcohol, if you want to win and roam it a few times a year, that's up to
Mhm.
you. But I would rather drink like a brandy or a rum or a vodka than beer
Mm.
or red wine, you know? So
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, Lee, it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate you coming on. I know you've got to go here in a minute. Um, you know, just as very last, like, um, well, I guess you just did. I was going to ask if, if you had any advice to someone who was in your position, coming into this, and they're just sort of like, well, what the hell do I do? Where can I go? You sort of answered that there. It's sort of just eat this way. But, what would be something you could say to your former self that may convince you to maybe give this a try and sort of deviate away from what, mainstream medicine was telling you?
I would keep it really simple and just imagine you exist 15,000 years ago and before then. Think about what your lifestyle and diet would look like. Do that as much as possible and restrict everything else.
Mm.
Restrict blue light, get outside, revert back to natural, whole foods, but not just, oh, it's a whole food like there's an apple. No, no, I'm talking about what is available where you live. Because right now I'm in the UK, I don't see any fruit. I don't see the grains. I don't see, unless it's like man has created this monocrop and this is available and there's one crop here. Forget all that. It's not natural. Go back 15,000 years, 50,000 years, whatever. Eat ruminant meats, the most nutrient dense and least inflammatory. Eat once or twice a day, no more. Don't snack. Mineralize your water, ground, natural light, limit artificial stuff, technology out of the bedroom. That's it. Everything natural. Enhance your natural, and get away from all this so-called progress. I ate some local blackberries. I thought, let's just see what happens. It's local. I picked them myself. It was off the road, so there's no pollution, no glyphosate. I picked them, I gave them a little wash, and I ate them. Never again. I just hated it. The experience after, like I say, after about 3 hours, it hits this sort of area, and my abdominal wall spasms and reacts and contracts.